For the most of my adult life, I lived in waiting and waiting to feel better, to be better, so that I could finally create. Now I realize that creating was exactly what I was missing, the thing that helped me to feel and be better. Some of you have asked, what if I can't start creating? Wait, true? Or can creativity itself be a form of medicine? To explore these questions, I met with 3 talented artists, a musician, a writer, and a painter, and listened to what they have to say.
3 years ago, I felt like everything I'd built was falling apart. My label shut down, but not before making me feel like I hadn't lived up to their expectations. My manager, I'd been working with since I was 18, left, and COVID had put the brakes on any type of momentum I'd gained through my first 2 albums. I felt scared and lost. I was doing everything I could to fight it. Constant input and distraction felt like my only options. But the more I tried to fill the silence, the more disconnected I felt. Desperation crept in as I realized I had nothing to say. How could I communicate anything of value when I felt so empty? A turning point came when I was talking to my Norwegian cousin. She told me about an essay by the sociologist Lena Lindgren, who uses the Greek myth of Ekko and Narcissus to explore how what we call narcissism today might actually be a symptom of something else, mimetic desire, or the human instinct to imitate. She also writes about Ekko, a nymph with a peculiar voice, cursed to only repeat other people's last words, who falls in love with Narcissus and follows him until he dies, lost in his own reflection. She fades into the mountains, where she still lives to this day. That story somehow really stuck with me. It felt like a mirror of my own. Going from having this natural, idiosyncratic creative voice to becoming dependent on feedback, twisting myself to fit others' expectations, and losing touch with what made me create in the first place. I felt a calling to peel back those layers of doubt and dependency, to reawaken my original urge to create something honest, otherworldly, and cathartic. Not to mirror what others wanted to see, but what I needed to show them. So instead of pushing against the resistance, I decided to embrace it, to make it the central theme of my next album. It wasn't an easy process. There were plenty of ups and downs. But once I chose to explore the resistance instead of running from it, everything began to feel lighter. The creation of my 3rd album, Ekko, pushed me far beyond my comfort zone. I actually ended up producing large parts of it myself and learned to trust my intuition again, above outside opinions. The result is a collection of songs that capture what I was feeling during that time, and they turn it into something meaningful. Long live the colonies, long live the colonies, long live the colonies. No, 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 So if you don't know where or how to start, if you feel like an imposter, lost, uninspired, or blocked, maybe instead of battling yourself, you could experiment with embracing those difficult feelings. Let them become the subject of your next creation. Because those difficult feelings, the fear, the doubt, the resistance, don't have to be obstacles. They're what makes your work human, and that's what people connect to the most.
I write to try to make sense of things I don't initially understand, like why so many young men are attracted to far-right politics. The obsessive analysis I do, trying to see such heavy social topics from multiple angles, helps me to detangle the knots I feel inside about why society is going so hard down the shitter. It's also a great escapism. I wrote my first book during the pandemic. It's a novel called I Keep My Shadow Light. I would just evaporate off into my own little world, which was set in the old normal, switching off from the present reality, which felt so out of control. If I feel blocked on a writing project, I usually work on a different one. I'm constantly juggling my 2 edits of the 2 books, writing new essays, and also redrafting film scripts. I also like to have conversations with people, and through the discussion, I'm able to hone some of my ideas and also find new energy for some of my pieces of work that have already taken a lot of time and dedication. I also have other creative passions which help me to nudge back into a flow state with my writing. For example, playing the saxophone, analog photography, and cinema. I'm a very sociable person, probably too sociable for a writer, and I also like to do fun side projects that involve other people, like writing satirical murder mysteries for others, making short videos, and other kinds of social commentary workshops. Writing helps me to work through my feelings. For example, my last book project helped me to work through my grief for someone who is still alive, but I feel I've somehow lost. My writing also has a lot of anger in it, at least some of my most recent essays. One's called Rage Rooms, and it's about the pains and gripes of womankind.
When we women go within ourselves, there's a lot of echoey sounds as loneliness passes through the corridor of bolted shut chambers like a cold draft. There's a darker, danker part of the corridor where the loneliness is scared to tread because of the rumours of the bad things that happen to it there. The bolted door full of cracks and a gap at the bottom sucks it in with a whirling force. Not sugar and light spun into pink candy floss. Not a vacuum cleaner working nights. No. Loneliness gets whipped up into a hurricane of rage, just like in men. A lot of this loneliness-fueled rage comes from frustrations with having so many of these chambers locked by men. Fear to walk freely through the streets, to travel wherever we want alone, to wear what we want, to be me, free of how you see me, not the cock block nor the wife material.
Sometimes in conversation, I feel trapped inside because it takes me a while to process how I think and feel about an issue, or I have a random pang of shyness and I don't feel like speaking at all. Writing's how I'm best able to express myself. I feel my most powerful when I'm writing.
I think creativity is our birthright. We are all wired to be creative, yet it has been romanticized as an individual talent, with gates so high that only time and money can make you go through them. Creativity is a natural process. It is about listening closely to what surfaces from within yourself, while excluding all the outside noise. In order to create art, you must be very alive with awe, with love, or grief. People think that art is what comes out of you when you sit in front of a canvas, but it's actually everything that you do before that. We forgot that we have been the most creative as a child. We were inventing plays, seeing a canvas everywhere, making the world our playground through which we were going with ever-learning, ever-curious eyes. It's exactly this energy that we need for creativity. We will have to unlearn what we learned. Our brain is wired to structure thoughts and ideas within categories and patterns. To weaken this process and to let those wild ideas emerge, we'll have to be in a flow or trance-like state. There are so many natural ways to get into that, such as dancing, swimming, humming, yoga, and meditation. Or an intense playlist by walking by yourself in the forest, watching clouds pass, or listening to the trees swinging in the wind. We are creative creators, a collection of millions of organisms, all interconnected. We are part of nature, an extension of it. It is thus not surprising that many artists seek refuge in solitude within nature. It's not to shield their creative process from the world. It's about strengthening that connection between your inner world and the energy around you. Through that, trance-like state that you can deeply connect to your inner world and with your environment on a spiritual level, access your subconscious thoughts and cultivate a higher sensibility. I call it Bluetooth, which functions more so for me when I am connected to my motherland, which is Morocco. It's a place where my roots can safely set into the earth, caressed by the sun, protected by the mountains, loved by the ocean. So find yourself in that environment of tranquility and serenity, a feeling of being safe and loved. Practice excluding the outside noise, such as expectations and critics. Or often it is just yourself, those well-known inner demons. Make them go as small as possible by making your inside voice go louder, by writing down things that inspire you, things that spark in you a feeling of awe, of wonder. What we also tend to forget is that creativity is a deeply collective experience, not an individual talent. Greatest artists have been inspired by each other. Surround yourself by gratitude and abundance rather than doubt and restrictions. But don't force it. You're more of an ocean of creativity. With every wave, new things can come out. Let the current stir it up. Sometimes calmer, sometimes wilder. An act of surrendering rather than control. It is a process to become a child again.
Creating short films over here on YouTube has filled my life with joy and purpose, and it really feels that this creative energy, it's growing when it's fed. So 2 weeks ago, I picked up these 3 little boxes with 150 copies of my first ever published handbook. And I can't wait to share with you guys more information. I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. You're gonna be the first person next week to know when these handbooks are available to buy. But if you don't want to sign up, that's also fine, because you're gonna get information eventually anyways. So the first 150 people who gonna order it, I'm happy to send you these copies with a little note from me, or to sign them, or however you like to receive them, or not at all. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, from your support, for your feedback, for your love, for your openness to share about yourself, answering my questions and giving me questions. I can't even describe how valuable this experience is for me and how it has changed my life, to be connected to so many people and to be encouraged to do more, because obviously we create for ourselves, and the process of creation is so rewarding itself that, like, in the first place, for sure. But then that work being received by other people and being appreciated, or people relating to it, it feels like the communication circle is completed. So thanks for that. Thanks for your support, for your love. You are letting me to grow, and all I wish is to give something back to you. Much love to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video.